this is a competition that is going to look for specific transactions with a specific private sector partner that will develop jobs. This is not a build it and they will come. We tried that, they didn't come. This is posing a specific question. If you win the competition and you get this funding, what business partners will you invest in? What will they contribute? How many jobs will that generate? And how is that in furtherance of your regional vision for your cluster economy? That's the bottom line $64,000 question. In this case, it's a $500 million question. But that is the question. Do not give us a plan that says we're going to build these roads and build this factory and build this building, and we believe if we build the factory, a tenant will materialize. We want to do it the other way around.
Certainly we had to do a lot of research. We had been doing research over the past 4 years as part of the Regional Economic Development Council, but the opportunity to use the University of Buffalo Regional Institute to dig deeper into the data was very helpful for us to really key in on some of the industries that we have, that we see that now we can look at a little more closely and can enhance. We held region-wide workshops. We had a total of 18 different workshops that had more than 350 people attend. We set up a website where we could collect white paper ideas on standard format. We had over 100 white papers that were submitted in the couple of week period that we opened that website. We've interviewed municipal and business leaders, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes in small groups, and the idea pipeline expanded from the website to the individual conversations. We then ran an online survey. We had developed 4 initiatives as we were thinking that would be the best number, 4 initiatives. We ran an online survey. We had over 500 responses. And what was interesting is that the responses were so strongly in favor of our 4 initiatives. I've never seen an agreement. More than 85% of the respondees agreed with our 4 initiatives across the board. And I'm going to get into a little more detail, perhaps, than the Finger Lakes. Our 4 initiatives is our strength in food and agriculture. I'll talk a little bit more about each of these as I go through the rest of the presentation. Advanced industries, specifically in the area of transportation equipment, which is our niche. Revitalizing the greater Binghamton area, which is the Triple Cities, Binghamton, Johnson City, and Endicott. Endicott, certainly the home of IBM. People remember when they were there. They're not there anymore. Johnson City, Endicott Johnson Shoe Factory, and Binghamton, kind of the heart of the cultural center of the Southern Tier. And then 4th is to attract talent, entrepreneurs, and investment, and to really put that as a focal point and an initiative of our plan. Let me dig a little bit deeper into food and agriculture. Trucking distances, about 500 miles in a day's travel for trucks. So we look at 1/3 of the U.S. population is within 500 miles of the Southern Tier. It's great because it also intersects with a lot of the roads, the major roads and rails. You've got Route 88, 81, 86, 99, and 390, all located in the Southern Tier. $5.2 billion in agricultural output in an annual year. And that's about 10% of the annual output of agricultural products in the Northeast, which is New York State and New England. 45,000 farm jobs, 11% of the region's employment. More farms than any other region in the state, 6,600 farms. We have the world's #2 College of Agriculture at Cornell University, and certainly we've got water like everybody else in New York has water. Nice thing about our water is it runs right past us. It's rivers, Susquehanna, Chemung, Shenango, and Delaware. So we're working hard, especially with the focus and the efforts of Cornell University School of Agriculture, to develop new technologies to increase production. Certainly the water shortage in California has made the economics of controlled environment growing more viable. And so that's indoor growing. It's code word for growing things indoors. hydroponic, but these are very energy intensive, and so that the renewable energy sources are going to be critical to their success. So developing solar and wind near these controlled environment agricultural plants will be important. Improving food processing, support and facilities, cleaning, cutting, packaging food is so critical now to the high value added to foods in the stores. The network of distribution hubs that I talked about, the road and rail networks through the southern tier. What do we need to do? We need to aggressively market our region as could be perhaps the center focal point of agriculture in New York State, certainly stretching up along the tips of Seneca and Cayuga Lake as well. And also expanding workforce development in some of these new technology areas, such as the controlled environment and food processing. Number 2 initiative is in advanced manufacturing. This is specifically targeted at transportation equipment. We have almost a dozen companies in the southern tier that are manufacturing products for the transportation equipment market. Lockheed Martin, Raymond Corporation, BAE Hybrid Bus Systems, Alstom Train, Corning makes diesel filters for tractor trailers and trucks. The new market dynamics of these fields are important to keep up with, and how are we going to keep up with the transformation? It's interesting, when we looked at patents within our region, we had over 2,100 patents issued to the southern tier in the last 5 years, and over 400 patents issued to Corning in just last year. We have 34,000 manufacturing workers, 11,000 of them into transportation industry, and that, if you look at the location quotient, that's an 8.9, which is a very high location quotient for an industry. And also what's important is high wages, 2 times the regional average, and also note 50% of the workforce does not require a bachelor's degree, which helps us have an entry point for hard-to-place workers. What are we going to do to advance this area? We're going to be putting a lot of commitment into innovation and infusion of technologies. We have 2 great universities, Binghamton and Cornell, that can add research activities that can support these industries, similar to the Manufacturing Works program in Buffalo. However, our support would be in the area of embedded software. That's the area that the local companies have identified as their biggest need. We also have a need for a test track in the area where we can test some of these transportation products more effectively, and making sure that we retain the graduates from the engineering schools in the southern tier. Cornell and Binghamton University graduating more than 3,000 students each year in engineering and applied sciences, and we need to keep them in the area to populate this workforce. And then when I get to the greater Binghamton area, which is the region called the Triple Cities, we're beginning the construction of a high-tech incubator in downtown Binghamton, which will be focused on health sciences and advanced materials. We're beginning the construction of a school of pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences in Johnson City, and we're acquiring property around that building in order to promote the move of pharmaceutical industries into the Johnson City area. And then on the western part of the region, the Endicott, which is the old IBM location, looking at more advanced manufacturing applications for that facility. And then lastly, we want to promote our area as an innovative culture. Not many people know it, but Rod Serling grew up in Binghamton, and so you kind of think of that as our person who gives us our imagination at times. Attracting talent, entrepreneurs, and investment is not easy into an area that's been perhaps in a downturn, but adding to some of the strengths that we have, such as Watkins Glen Speedway, the Corning Museum of Glass, the southern tips of Seneca and Cayuga Lake, the highest density of waterfalls in the Northeast region, even fly fishing in the Delaware River. There's a lot of great things to do in the southern tier and a lot of great places to live. And I'm not going to tell you any more, because if I did tell you any more, we wouldn't have a proposal to submit, other than the fact is everybody's going to have a similar presentation today. We're going to have underused assets. We're going to have great, smart people that think they can do better jobs with those underused assets. It's going to be the secret sauce. And if anybody's got the secret sauce to pull all these things together, I think that's where the winning's going to happen.